The coffee pot slipped from her trembling hands, splattering a brown stain across her white apron. But it wasn't the scalding liquid that burned her, it was the laughter. Cruel, heartless laughter from three young men lounging in the corner booth. The oldest of them, no more than 21, smirked with a kind of arrogance. Money can't buy, but privilege can. His designer shirt gleamed under the diner lights as he leaned back, spat on her uniform, and said something that made the entire room go silent. The old woman's eyes flickered with hurt, but she didn't say a word. She simply stood there, trembling, humiliated, coffee dripping onto the tiled floor, her dignity falling with each drop. If you believe respect and kindness should never depend on someone's age or status, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Pure Hub Kindness, where real stories remind us who we are when no one's watching. Her name was Martha Green, 69 years old, a widow who had spent her life serving others with a smile. Every morning, she walked 5 blocks to the little diner, tied on her faded apron, and poured coffee for strangers who barely looked up from their phones. She'd lost her husband to cancer, and raised her only son on her own. Yet through every storm, she never forgot how to be kind. But today, that kindness had been spat on. The boy's name was Bryce Weller, the spoiled son of a wealthy real estate mogul who thought he owned the world. To him, people like Martha were just part of the background, invisible, disposable. He laughed as his friends filmed her humiliation. "This'll go viral," one of them snickered. Phone in hand, Martha whispered a shaky apology. Even though she had done nothing wrong, she just wanted to disappear. But what Bryce didn't notice was the reflection in the diner window. For men in dark leather vests, their patches reading Hell's Angels, had been watching. The tallest among them, broad shoulders, tattooed arms, and a stare cold enough to stop time, stepped forward. His name was Rex Dalton, a man who had seen the worst of humanity but still lived by a simple rule: respect those who serve you. The room went still. Even the jukebox seemed to hold its breath. Rex picked up the fallen coffee pot, placed it gently on the counter, then turned to Martha. "Ma'am," he said softly, "did he hurt you?" She shook her head, avoiding his eyes. Then Rex turned to Bryce.com, steady and terrifying in his quiet authority. "You think it's funny to spit on someone who works for a living? That woman could be your grandmother." Bryce stammered, his smirk fading. The phone in his hand suddenly felt heavier than guilt itself. Rex nodded toward the floor. "You're gonna make this right. Start by cleaning up that mess." The diner fell into total silence. Then, unbelievably, Bryce bent down and picked up a rag. His friends froze. With trembling hands, the young man began wiping the floor. Each stroke stripped away a layer of his arrogance. Martha tried to stop him. "It's all right, dear," she whispered, but Rex shook his head gently. "No, ma'am. It's time someone taught him what respect really means." When Bryce finally stood up, he looked different, smaller somehow. His voice broke as he whispered, "I'm sorry." Martha smiled faintly, her tired eyes soft. "Thank you, Sen," she said. The diner exhaled. Rex gave a small nod, then returned to his seat. The lesson was over, but the story, WASN, single quotes T. Later that night. After closing, Martha was wiping down the last table when the bell above the door jingled softly. Bryce stood there, holding an envelope full of cash. "I want to make this right," he said quietly. Martha shook her head. "Money can't clean what pride dirties," she told him, "but kindness can." Her words stuck with him. A week later, Martha found a note taped to her locker. No name, but she knew who it was from. It read, "Thank you for forgiving me. I'm volunteering at the community kitchen now. You showed me what real work looks like." Attached was a receipt for a generous donation made in her name to a local shelter. She pressed it to her heart and smiled through tears. Sometimes, life's cruelest moments are the very sparks that ignite someone else's redemption. Martha never told anyone about that day, but every biker who'd been there shared the story differently, not about the spit or the shame, but about the woman who forgave and the young man who finally learned respect. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Pure Hub Kindness, where every story reminds us that compassion can silence cruelty and change a life forever.